The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the second day of March, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications, People's Pharmacy, and Lindo's. I'm Jamel Hartman. He's Larry Marshall Jr.
I'm back.
You're back. How you feeling today? Your third day. I mean, this ain't like you. You know, most people can't take me 2 days in a row. You're back 3.
Hey, all I'm saying is it's getting done. Happy to be back. Shonta, I need that Daily Hour mug. Just saying.
She's still at. Let's call out. No, I got in trouble for calling out yesterday. She says that's on Keitha. So anybody know a little lady named Keitha Canes out there? She's just responsible for the mugs. You got Bert drinking out of some green thing this morning, so he needs his mug. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we welcome Jason Sugdeo of Bermuda Carnival on the show. Should be an interesting conversation because there's been a lot of chatter about what's going on with Carnival this year. So he is here to engage with you and share with you what he has planned. The daily play is going to be music today. All right. So
I'm struggling already.
Yeah. Well, see, you say that, but then compared to Sister Sherry, I'm just saying.
Let me say, right? I couldn't make the full part of the show yesterday. I was shouting Eugene Cox. I'm just saying, and I knew it from jump.
What did someone say? Somebody said Gordon, and I'm like, who Gordon were they referring to? Like
Gordon?
It couldn't. Because I said first PLP finance. Civics test, folks. Civics test.
I had that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we
music. We'll see. All right.
Yeah, we'll see, folks. We'll see. So got Jason Sugdeo coming up. So you don't want to miss this conversation. Make sure you share it. He will have the answers to a lot of your questions. But before we get to Mr. Sugdeo, we have a question, as we always do, and it's pretty simple because there's a lot of things happening throughout the world, and we haven't really discussed it on this show, and I think we probably should find out how are we preparing for the aftermath of whatever happens between Russia and Ukraine. Like, what are your thoughts on the war between those two countries? And are you prepared for the aftermath? Because, as Larry and I were talking before we came on air, we had Zach Munners from Lindo's on last year talking about the cost of groceries rising. We've spoken about inflation, right? We've spoken about a lot of things, even with the economist and lecturer at Bermuda College, Craig Simmons, about the economy. But we haven't really discussed the impact of what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. Or do we think it has nothing to do with us? Do we have the attitude that, you know what? This has been going on in Yemen and Somalia and the Middle East all these years, and it hasn't impacted my life. Why should I care now? Like, what are your thoughts? I would love to know, what are your thoughts on the war between Russia and Ukraine? Do you care? Do you believe it impacts your daily life? I'm going to be honest with you. That $30 it used to take to fill up my gas tank only took me halfway on the weekend, folks. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Initially, when I heard about it, then, because it was creeping around, or the Russia's putting troops on the borders, and you're like, okay, is it happen? When will it at the last minute? And then boom, it happens. My first thoughts were, well, in 2022, how, it just seems like they want to take over for land. And I haven't gotten to the particulars on what is the reasoning, even though I still haven't had a viable answer or something that kind of makes sense. Even, because sometimes you can make sense of or understand a position even if you disagree with it. I just don't even know what the position is. And then, once you got across that and it's happening and, hoping for as much safety as possible, you kind of got that selfishness in you. Well, how will that impact me? And I'm saying to myself, man, groceries are killing me already.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, gas, we need to go around, but at the end of the day, I could get on a push pedal bike and do some stuff, but you got to eat. And it just seems like the pandemic has driven prices sky high for food in Bermuda, and any other, we haven't even rebounded. We're not even fully done with this. You know what I mean? I think we're in a period where it's maybe a downward period, which we're grateful for, but we haven't been able to bounce back from that. And the first thing I thought was, the food prices, things that are, the cost to import are just going to be how that's going to be affected.
Yeah, no, you make a great point, and Traveling Trotty actually she adds that the world's economies are all connected in some way, and I think that's what you're speaking of. Like it's very much, I feel like even though there's a lot of opinions about the war between Ukraine and Russia, and I am not going to go against anyone's opinion because I think they're all valid, but there are people that are saying, oh, it has nothing to do with us. This is between two European countries, let them be.
Yeah.
There are people that have noticed the racism in how it's being underreported, but thankful to social media, you're seeing how Black people and other people of color are not being allowed to leave the country. All right.
Yeah.
And then there's also, the sports side, which I'd love for you to touch on, like how it's impacting the athletes, like FIFA's banning Russia's sports teams, the track athletes and Olympians are being banned. But it's so much to this that really impacts it. Now think about it. Russia actually hosted the last World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yes.
2018, right?
Yeah.
Folks, they're not far removed from being the host of the biggest sporting event in the world next to the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
And I only bring all of that up because as small as Bermuda is, I read something yesterday, and I'm so sorry I don't have the note, that Bermuda has some registry with Russian aircraft or something that I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong, audience. You all know more than me all the time, but it impacts us. I remember September 11th and Hurricane Katrina. Companies based in Bermuda were impacted. So I guess the purpose of the conversation is really, what are your thoughts? Because it actually, going back to Traveling Trotter's comments, the world's economies are all connected in some way. And whether we believe it or not, we should probably be preparing for something, whether that's good or bad, but we should probably be preparing for something. Sean Smith, for you, Larry.
I'm happy because I'm paying less for my euros with US dollars. Okay. I mean, we all have to look at it from a personal standpoint.
Indeed. Nicole Walker says, good morning. I think we need to have our favorite economist back on and ask his opinion on how it will impact our local economy, investments, etc. I have to stay in tune because of my job and all the daily sanctions. What's your job? You sound like your heart got something real out there, Sister Nicole. But no, indeed. And after Mr. Simmons went yesterday, I know somebody may have asked it, but we ran out of time. But I definitely might shoot him a message to get his opinion on how this could impact us financially, because someone did ask it yesterday, but we ran out of time. Karen Simmons, she says, personally speaking, I didn't think it would affect me, but for my job, I am supposed to go to Romania in October, bordering Ukraine. How it's hitting home. Not sure if I even feel secure to go. And there we go.
Yep.
There we go.
That's huge.
Sam Cat Place says, grow your food is the most important part of preparing. Learn to fish if you don't already know how. Tuck a few dollars away. Take your own lunch. Monitor your intake. And lastly, assess wants versus needs.
That last part's crucial.
Yeah. Larry?
Yeah, I know you touched on, part of the strategy that the greater world is using is to put pressure on the biggers of Russia per se. And, from the sporting point, you did mention how big organizations, sporting organizations are taking a stand and banning Russia. And I feel for the athletes because, it doesn't have nothing to do with them, and they're the ones that have to suffer and take the brunt of it. But we just try and see what's going on. The IAAF has already banned Russia for systematic doping back in 2015. So this kind of just went on with it. But when you start talking about the World Cup and the greater sporting things, I think it will have an impact. I just don't know how it will force the hand of the powers that be.
Indeed. And I mean, it's spreading. Headley Stevenson Swan says Russian and Sterling vodka is how I'm affected, just being honest. Well, I mean, if vodka's your drink, you will definitely be impacted because they're pulling off shelves. I mean, it's just being real. I mean, you never know. That is part of the economics of it.
And
right?
then it will drive the prices up. Clubs in Bermuda will do it. You know what I mean? It affects you in some way, somehow, whether it's your social life, your casual, your everyday something. I think this will kind of reach. And with respect to Yemen, Somalia, and them, I don't think economically they would impact a place like Bermuda, as much as Russia.
I got you. And that's not dismissing, folks, that what's happening
Not at all.
in places. I just think that the point being made is economically there's more tied to Russia. Is saying, and Michelle White goes to say, yes, Bermuda has a registry of ships and planes. This is coming through many countries. We must pay attention to what's going on in the world because we have crafts all over the world. And Sean Smith echoes that, saying Bermuda shipping and aircraft registry have Russian planes and boats on them. Nicole Walker says, I was so disgusted seeing all the people of color being stopped from crossing the border to safety. I am looking at my pensions. We need to reduce my risk profile for now. Also preparing a garden. That, folks, what she said about pensions. How many of us even think to revisit our pensions to say, you know what, I want to bring the risk down during this time. It's too volatile. That's actually a good point because most of us just leave it there and just hope for the best by the time we come to retirement if we make it that far, right?
Yeah. That's actually something that most people would not think about there, and they don't even know if they have the option. I don't know if I have the option, I'll be honest. So I'll check in on that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, some of the changes, I make when things happen is I literally know that gas is what's going to impact me most the way I have to drive based on where I live. So I become more of a homebody in terms of I just don't have it to spend like that. I don't have it to go out like that. So, that's a small change I make. I think going back to Sam Cat Place, what she stated is at the end of the day, eat from home. Like have you look at it as you have less money to spend because there's an uncertain economy. We don't know what's going to happen. So, war drives prices, right? We don't know what it's going to look like. We honestly do not know what the next move's going to be. There are some people that think, this is not going to work out the way Russia wants and whatever. There are some people who think, oh no, they're in this for the long haul. So until they get, what they want. So it's hard to call, and I'm no expert. I'm no expert in any of this. But my only point of the discussion is I really believe that we shouldn't sit around with eyes closed, hands over ears.
And that was my next point. I think we had enough practice. I mean, well, at our age, we've been through what we say 9/11, the 2008 financial crisis, the pandemic. We've had a few practices or we've had a few times to practice, and I think right now, it kind of delays before it hits Bermuda. The pandemic was a bit delayed, and then it hit us. You know what I mean? So eventually something may come, but we shouldn't be taken by surprise. We should already be preparing for it and something like that.
Nicole Walker says, I work in compliance, so I have to check financial sanctions every day since the war started. Russian sanctions have been updated. Sam Cat Place says, thanks, Nicole. She's going to do the same regarding her pension. I worked hard for my coins. Traveling Trotty, she says, government employees do not have an option regarding pensions.
That's what I thought.
I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking, excuse me, maybe this is privilege speaking, but I was actually thinking our own private pensions. I like, for instance, if you had something that one of the private companies or insurance companies where you put certain monies aside. And I only say that because, again, maybe it's privilege speaking. I think that's what all of us should be doing if we have that opportunity. We probably all should be doing that, but that's what I was referring to. Look, government pension. Didn't they just say you all ain't gonna have nothing soon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, look, man. I'm not even being funny, but I swear I just read something that said you're not gonna have any. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, with government workers, it goes a bit different because we have two separate ones. The general one, which I think that's what they're referring to, and then the one we put in monthly.
She said superannuation.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Okay. Well, government. I'm not getting into that one. You all.
It's actually a good one of the better pension schemes in Bermuda. When you're a government worker, depending if you stay for how long you should stay. Depending on how long you should stay, I should say.
Well, I love government workers. I do. I'm here for you, and I really do hope that that the fate of your pensions changes. But back to the conversation, folks. Look, what are your thoughts on the situation, or the war, I should say, between Russia and the Ukraine? How have you prepared? And I like the feedback we're getting. People need to start preparing that garden. People need to start growing their food. We need to probably find ways to rely less on gas, right? How do we get to a space where we're relying less on gas?
Yeah.
Maybe this is a time. I know the pandemic brought about a lot of change where, companies and people realize that their jobs can be done from home. Maybe it is time for the hybrid schedule. I know people say, yeah, but what about the people who rent the buildings and own the buildings? There's a balancing act. So hybrid schedules versus working from home. Hybrid is a reduction in carbon footprint. It's a reduction in gas usage, right?
Yeah.
So I think it could be helpful for everyone. But I definitely think, like the pandemic, this war between Russia and the Ukraine should give us time to reflect and think about what we can do, what we should do to improve our own situation. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I completely agree. But something that we kind of touched on earlier, I don't know if you saw it. Yes, because you did touch on it. But I couldn't help but sort of dismiss the situation, and it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up when I saw African students at a train station being turned away. And one had it was a 3-month-old baby, and they wouldn't let the mom and the baby on the train. I had to get off social media. Because I instantly went into the worst of the worst thoughts and whatnot. But it's just unfortunate that in this time, the Black life still is worse. It's just valued as less.
Well, it's sickening because, I have people who watch this show who have sent me videos of people in media, like news reporters, making comments like, oh, this is not supposed to happen in this part of the world. This is supposed to be happening in other places. This is a civilized place. It's shocking to see people with blue eyes and blonde hair going through it. Like the way that their comments, and one gentleman on the news actually made a point to say, I don't want to, like, he checked his comment as if, let me say it in a better way, and it still came out spewing his racism. And I think it tells you a lot.
It does.
That even in the worst of times, people,
it's a hierarchy.
They can't hide who they are. Their racism is on full display. And anyone who tries to ignore that is honestly just a very dishonest person or willfully ignorant.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think you summed it up with disgusting. At the end of the day, human is human. We already know we ain't trying to beat nobody over the head with what we believe and whatnot. But to see it really live, and I think the difference is with this video nowadays, it really just puts a face to it. It evokes a different type of emotion. Mm-hmm. And for me, kind of, I had this thought of, you know what, Ukraine, check you later. You know what I mean? And you kind of forget, like, and it creates this separation of, you know what, that's between them two, but forget it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough one, folks. It's a tough one. But what I will say is these are reminders that, especially when it comes to race, it does matter. We cannot ignore it. We cannot ignore it. We can't act like we don't see color, because when things get tough, and they don't even have to be real tough. They don't have to be real tough. You will be treated, as has been shown today, based on your race. We have a big conversation coming up. Jason Sukdeo in the background. So let's go do the news break, folks. Hey, I think Sherry and Leanna applauded the Gang Sauce Brothers. They said, look, it's International Women's Month, Women's History Month. They said, look, let them guys go do it. I'm taking the month off. I'm joking. The ladies are off. Leanna's just under weather a bit. She's recovering. She sounds better, folks. She's got her voice back. Some days I wish she thought I lost my voice, but ain't happening. All right, let's go to the news break, and we'll be back. Jason Sukdeo after this. Bear with me. All right, this is the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman. The Bermuda Police Service is appealing for the public's assistance with the investigation into an assault which left a 15-year-old male with a stab wound to the chest. Fortunately, the injury was deemed non-life-threatening. The incident was reported to police after the victim was taken to the Lamfogo Urgent Care Unit at Southside's facility for treatment around 5:30 p.m. on Monday, the 28th of February, 2022. Details are still limited at this time, but the incident is believed to have happened near the junction of York Street and Queen Street, St. George's, shortly before it was reported to police. Anyone with information on this incident is urged to get in contact with us by calling 211, the main police number 295-0011, or the independent and confidential Crime Stoppers number 800-8477. You may also provide any information you have regarding this incident by speaking to a police officer with whom you are familiar with. Detective Inspector Derica Burns of the BPS Criminal Investigations Unit stated, quote, "The growing incidence of crime involving bladed articles is concerning and impacts us all as a community. Please do your part to help make Bermuda safer by coming forward and sharing any information you may have on this or any other criminal activity," end quote. In other news, the One Bermuda Alliance has appointed Douglas Ducuto to the Senate. Mr. Ducuto replaces former Senator Marcus Jones, who resigned last week. Opposition leader Cole Simon says, quote, "Today it gives me great pleasure to appoint a dedicated young Bermudian, Mr. Douglas Ducuto, known as Doug, who he says is eager and prepared to hit the ground running," end quote. All the best to Senator Ducuto in his new role. Weather-wise, well, I would tell you what it's going to be like outside, but I'd probably be wrong. So what I will do is wish you all the best day ever, regardless of the elements. I'm Jamal Hartman, and that's the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Let's bring Larry back into the conversation, because we forgot to do something yesterday. What we forgot to do, Larry, was the days of the year, so days to remember. And so yesterday, it's only right that I do this. Yesterday, we actually missed out on, it was National Pig Day, right? It was National Wedding Planning Day. Big shout out, big props, all of that. Burn.
Nikki.
To Nikki occasions out there. The occasions you don't know about that. National Wedding Planning Day, and then planning a solo vacation.
I'm in need.
Nikki Excursions does all that stuff too, but so we missed yesterday, folks. So let's show some love for yesterday, and then today, March 2nd, we have. This is American, but it looks like National Read Across America Day. So I know it may not be Bermuda, but we can never go wrong with reading, right?
Correct.
All righty. Well, stick with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're coming back with Jason Sugdeo from the Bermuda Carnival. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild. But shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Salter's bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
This month, John Barrett & Son bring us a premium thirst quencher from North Carolina, the Blue Ultra Purified Water. Many other bottled waters use reverse osmosis to reach an acceptable level of purity. Le Bleu uses a 5-step purification process, which includes fractional vapor compression, distillation, and ozonation, assuring purity and a unique, appealing flavor. Consumer testimony repeatedly praises the taste of Le Bleu compared to the other brands, and this, along with superior purity, makes Le Bleu a must-try. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Alrighty. Welcome back to the big show. Larry Marshall Jr., myself, Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and One Communications. So without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. We've got Jason Sukdeo from the Bermuda Carnival in his house. Welcome to the show, big brother. How's it going?
Morning. How you doing, Jamal? Larry, how you doing? Morning to your audience.
Morning.
Yeah, well, we're good, man. Look, hey, it's a lot going on, and a lot I'm sure that you would love to say that we need to discuss. But first off, it's been about 2 years. How have you been doing personally? I mean, someone told me I need to start asking guests when they come on, how have they been doing personally? Because the pandemic has been so draining. How have things been going? You're a DJ by trade outside of, what you do professionally, but there's been a lack of opportunities to be out playing at events. How has that been for you?
Yeah. I mean, have to be completely honest. I've enjoyed the pandemic. It's being a DJ. I also work in IT full time, so that's my primary source of income. So for me, fortunately, my income wasn't affected through the pandemic too much. I also retired from DJing in 2019. So that was right before the pandemic. So as we started to get into the pandemic, I wasn't taking DJing bookings and gigs anyway. So I wasn't affected too much by the DJing side. But not planning a carnival and not organizing events and not doing the extracurriculars that we normally do, I gave me a great opportunity. I beat Burp in golf for his birthday.
This guy saying anything.
The pandemic definitely gave me the opportunity to slow down and enjoy life, I guess you could say. Slow down and take in the island a bit more. We've been here and living here all my life, and it's pieces that we forget about. It's pieces that we take for granted, and it's traveling all the time and going overseas. Yeah, we enjoy travel, but at the same time, there's a lot happening on the island that sometimes we don't stop and take a chance to appreciate. So I enjoyed pandemic and being in Bermuda and getting out on the water, getting to the beach, and like I said, playing golf when the opportunity came about. So I took advantage of it.
And I like something you said. Taking advantage of things in Bermuda, there's a lot to do, and so often so many people say there is nothing to do in Bermuda. So that's a refreshing some refreshing feedback right there. But let's get into today's conversation. Before we get into where we are right now, just speak to us about, because a lot of people don't know this. Where did the idea come from for Bermuda to have its own carnival?
Well, we started out with Bermuda Day. So there's like a couple of iconic shots that we often see in advertisements where 10,000 people on Front Street coming down the street for Bermuda Day, just enjoying themselves. I often traveled to other parts of the world to DJ at other events or to go to other carnivals, and often people would ask me, "When's Bermuda's Carnival?" For that group of visitors, they tend to book their vacations and look to travel to other countries during Carnival or during a time when they would be able to see the entertainment that they enjoy, which happens to be soca and Carnival. So yeah, that's where it came about. Was, well, let's put the answer to it, and let's say, well, let's set up that carnival so that people would have that opportunity to travel to Bermuda and see the things that they enjoy. Being a carnival, the entertainment, the DJs, the artists, performances, all of those pieces put together is what we wanted to do, and that's how Bermuda Carnival came about.
Love to hear it. No, that and sometimes it's really about what people want, giving them what they want from an idea. So let's fast forward to today.
Mm-hmm.
There was a press release. The participating bands have seemed to have broken away from Bermuda Carnival, and Bermuda Carnival seems to be doing its own thing. So I think from the general public, there looks like there's a split.
Mm-hmm.
How did we get to this point where there's this split?
Yeah, I mean, I think in any relationship, there's disagreements. There's definitely different opinions. People don't always agree on direction and where things should head and how things should go. So I think generally speaking, that's how we got here. There's just a disagreement on how things are run and how things are going. With Bermuda Carnival, it's a slightly different model to other carnivals in the sense that the carnival is run by a private organization. It's run by a private company, BHW Limited, where myself and the directors work with committee to put it all together and make it all happen. So in other countries, throughout the United States, Canada, other countries across the globe, it's more run by a community and cultural affairs, similar to what we see for Bermuda Day. Mm-hmm. The big difference there is that because it's a private company, essentially the private company can make decisions as to how they wish to run things for that event. Not everybody has to agree. Not everybody does agree. So I think that's where we've come to this split and how we've decided that, Bermuda Carnival is going to keep doing what we do. We're going to continue to produce Carnival. This year is June 17th to 20th. And we intend to run our full schedule. We intend to stick to what we've always done. But the three organizations that were a part of Bermuda Carnival before and chose to be a part of the product that we were offering, they've decided to go their own way.
So that said, and just tell me if I'm got it wrong. So I saw the promo that was shared by Bermuda Carnival with Phoenix, like I guess rising. We're back. What? Mm-hmm. The product that Bermudians who have participated in Bermuda Carnival had gotten used to was, being able to be a part of different bands during the festivities. Mm-hmm. What kind of experience should they expect this year? Is it just going to be one participating band in Bermuda Carnival?
Yeah, for Bermuda Carnival, like we mentioned, if we go back to the history of it, we got into Bermuda Carnival for the carnival piece of Carnival, starting out with passion from Bermuda Day, having a truck. It's a key part of Carnival. So if the bands were going to break out, we had to come up with a solution to maintain the Carnival, to keep a Carnival. So yeah, we're going to continue on with producing the Carnival. The date and the schedule is the same as it was in previous years. We'll put the Carnival on Monday after Juve. And the plan is to have a truck on the road, multiple trucks, and we'll have a band. We'll change the model slightly in the sense that instead of having multiple bands in Bermuda Carnival, we'll have multiple sections being a part of one band. We thought that would bring them more togetherness type of unit. We will all work together in one band to make it all happen and provide the best experience possible. So yeah, you'll still have the opportunity to participate. You'll still have the opportunity to do costumes, or we'll even have a t-shirt section. We wanted to definitely focus in 2022 on keeping things affordable. Like you've mentioned in the first half of your show, we're feeling the crunch. Food prices are up. Gas prices are going up. We're hoping that the government can deliver with Belco to bring the Belco prices down, but the jury's out. We'll see if that actually happens. So we definitely want to continue on with, like I said, continue with what we've always done, producing an exciting weekend. And with the bands splitting ways and doing their own thing, we didn't want that to stop us from continuing on with the carnival piece.
All right, folks, if you have any questions or comments for Jason, you feel free to, ask away or share, and I will do my best to get through them. Real quickly before you jump in, Bert. So at this point, it's no opportunity or chance of compromise and working together. Is it at this point there are going to be different things? They're going to do their thing. You're going to do your thing. Is that final at this point?
Today is final. It's always open for conversation and discussion. Today, as it stands, where we are, we're going to do two separate things. But like I said, the door is always open and conversation can always happen. Anything's negotiable. So yeah, we can definitely talk about it if folks want to talk about it.
All right.
Well, that's good. We're always looking for a solution for things. But Bermuda becomes a challenging place to host events. I've seen that with respect to some sporting events. They have the track and field meets that, it just becomes sometimes a logistical nightmare, and sometimes other people pull it off with it being great. What are the types of challenges have you experienced putting a carnival on in Bermuda?
I think the number one challenge is resources. In other jurisdictions, they've been doing carnival longer, long and short of it. So they're used to putting on a carnival. They've imported the resources that they need to make it all happen, or they've manufactured them themselves. In other places, for instance, the framing that we normally do with scaffolding, we normally get a scaffolding company to come on board, look at a 40-foot trailer and put scaffolding on top of a truck. In other jurisdictions, there's a ready-made frame that a crane would just pick up and drop on top of the 40-foot truck, and it's sized to fit already. You can strap your speakers to it. You can put a DJ stage on top of it. It's just ready, built, and ready to go. So resources in Bermuda, we're only 5 years young. Well, we started in 2015. We got up to 2019, then the pandemic hit. We're definitely still a developing carnival. We took one of the phrases that a journalist titled us with back in the early days of the fastest growing carnival in the world. We did grow quickly. We went from 0 to 200 too fast. We didn't creep before we walked. We jumped right in and went full speed ahead with it. And it's good in ways, but in other ways, like I said, in that resource way, it's definitely challenging. Finding generators to power these speakers for everybody. Essentially, Carnival in 2019 with 3 bands, multiple trucks, having one of those trucks at the end of the parade route for last lap. Each of those trucks has to have a massive generator to be able to power everything, and a generator that's in good operating order. Sometimes we get generators and during the parade route, they may stop running. So finding good equipment and good resources to keep everybody running is definitely one of the bigger challenges that we experience every year.
I didn't even consider half this stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
You brought up other jurisdictions, and we have a close mutual friend, Jermaine Davis, and he always educates me on certain things about how carnivals run in other countries. And I think Bermuda, we look at it as it's just a party, but it's really a experience that encompasses the entire community. With that being said, what partnerships throughout the community have you fostered, or are you looking to foster, or if that's even something that you're looking to do?
Yeah, you touched on pieces of it, and it's even very cultural. So we were just having this conversation with same friend Jermaine, and talking about Juve, and there's a lot of folks that it looks like Juve is just a party. The history of Juve, I challenge the audience to go check it out, look at the Wikipedia, but I'll give you a brief synopsis of it. it dates back to slavery and slaves covering themselves in paint to disguise themselves so that the masters won't recognize them when they're out on the street, and then they therefore can't be punished. It was done at night before the sun rises, and then people go swimming afterwards and wash the paint off, and then they're back to normal life. It's the history of it, and a lot of the pieces that we do that are, like you said, taken as just a party. From BHW Limited, from year one, actually, I think it was from year two. From year two, we had a panel discussion, and that was where we wanted to get out a lot of the teaching points around Carnival, so that it isn't taken as just a party. Number one, it's a massive economic opportunity for Bermuda, with bringing in visitors and new dollars to the island and people spending money, and also people seeing the island. Like we definitely expose Bermuda to a different audience that wouldn't just buy a plane ticket to Bermuda and show up on the island and say, here I am. Mm-hmm. But definitely exposing Bermuda to a brand new market. And when they got to Bermuda, now they've fallen in love with it. They're like, oh, this is amazing. So we're finding a lot of folks are coming back outside of Carnival just to see Bermuda. So there's definitely different areas in where we touch on where Carnival is a catalyst to broadening our audience and getting out there. And like you said, touching different places and the different teaching points, that it's not just a party. Many pieces of it. So we're definitely partnering with the BTA for the tourism aspect of it. We've had conversations in the past with community and cultural affairs and how we can tie closer to their programs. All across the board there's definitely many different ways. And even for one organization, for BHW Limited, it's a lot to take on. And like I said, it's only being 5 years young, there's still a lot more room to grow and a lot more potential, and that we haven't touched or reached yet.
Alrighty. Let's go to the audience. If you have any questions or comments for Jason Sukdeo of Bermuda Carnival, I'll do my best to get through all of them. Sam Cat Place, she's asking, do you think that this split is going to make Bermuda Carnival look like the laughing stock of Carnival? Where is the togetherness sigh?
It's definitely a challenge. There's a lot of confused people out there, both locally and internationally. It's not something that's uncommon for Carnival. We've seen it happen in other jurisdictions. Cayman, for instance, has 2 carnivals, albeit theirs is at different times. So one is in the beginning of May, I think one's at the end of May, I think, and then next year it may move to July. There's definitely some confusion. It definitely would look better optically if we go together and put it all together. But again, as the fastest growing carnival in the world, being in 5 years, we're also going to reach problems faster than other carnivals as well. So we'll take it all in stride and we will make it all happen regardless, and make the best of it. And keep it positive, keep it moving.
All right. Michaela Smith, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Michaela, she's asking, do you think the bands will be able to deliver the same experience that Bermuda Carnival has been known to bring over past years?
The bands have put together credible events. They put together events that work and people attend and people enjoy. Do I think they'll be able to? Yes. I do think the bands will put together a good experience and something that the crowds would enjoy for sure. No doubt about that. And their credit as promoters on the island is good. So I don't see why not.
And I have this question because I know you said, and it's true. I mean, any married person would tell you, in any relationship, there's going to be disagreements, some more than others. But obviously that's on the surface. What was there something that you can share publicly that was like the final straw? Like, for instance, my thought from the outside looking in, based on what I've read, based on what I've seen from both sides, and based on what you said this morning, when you mentioned the Bermuda Tourism Authority just now, I'm just thinking, is there enough space for sponsorship in this space for 2 entities to actually work? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to be taken from one another? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can it possibly work?
Yeah. So in the resources conversation, definitely funds and sponsorship is a part of those resources and a major part of those resources. I think that may even be part of the reason for the split, in the sense that, well, we have to struggle for sponsorship. We have to struggle in terms of where we get funds and how we get those funds, who we get them from, is there enough for everybody? There wasn't enough for everybody for the past 5 years. We would like to see more funds injected into Carnival. We've always asked, and the opportunity hasn't always come about. So definitely, shortage of sponsorship is going to be an issue. Are we going to take from each other? Definitely. And is it going to be choosing one or the other? I don't think it's going to come to that this year. I don't know. We'll see. The conversations are definitely still happening in terms of sponsorship and how that works. But yeah, definitely there isn't enough to go around. And that's part of the reason why we are here. I think if it were, I'll say better funded. I think if we did have enough money to go around for sponsorship and people were in better positions, then we wouldn't be, we definitely wouldn't be in the situation that we're in, where we need to kind of take from the other person to make my ends meet and put it all together. That would definitely help.
Yeah, I recently tweeted about sponsorship, that, sponsorship is not charity. Like, people want to see value. I personally believe, and I've never participated, I've just watched video and I'm seeing the pictures. I believe that Bermuda Carnival, the weekend experience, provides great value for Bermuda. And some of the things that you mentioned, people come here for the first time. It's like the old spring break. They come, they love it, and they come back another time of the year. So I think there's great value in it. And I believe there are opportunities in the private sector that may look at this and say, you know what, this is how we can help get Bermuda back on the map. It's a different kind of tourist versus what it was back then. But we have a comment from Shanna Butterfield. She says, given that resources are a challenge, is there any support from government, mainly financially, to support this product as Bermuda as a whole benefits from Carnival?
Yeah, that's definitely speaking to the last point, is that that would be the best way to bring this together, is that put enough of pie for everybody to eat, essentially. With the challenges that Bermuda Carnival or BHW Limited had to put together, and we've always had a financial challenge. We've always been trying to put things together, make $1 out of 50 cents to put it all together and make it work. We've been fortunate enough that in 2019, we were able to make things work financially, and the numbers kind of made sense. So we were headed down a good path. But it's definitely not the time to kind of slack off in terms of sponsorship and say, all right, cool, all right, let's let them figure it out. Or no, we were at this crossroads for Bermuda Carnival. Just leave it and let everybody figure it out. I think that, the sponsorship and putting financial resources behind it is going to be telling for 2022 and how we will make it work. And we'll definitely determine how things work in the future for 2023, if we even have a carnival at all, if we're able to survive this and come out with a product that still works for everybody.
Real quick, you mentioned the other jurisdictions and the model that they have, where pretty much like the government entity helps really subsidize what's going on. Will Bermuda Carnival have to probably go to a model like that for it to survive?
So I would even go a step further in the model, being that it's run similar to Bermuda Day. So it's not necessarily subsidizing the private entity.
Okay.
It's actually run within the government. So it'll be community and cultural affairs doing the exact same thing they do for Bermuda Day, setting up the parade route, putting everything together, and the bands, and even myself, for instance, if I wanted to have a band, then I would put in to community and cultural affairs similar to Bermuda Day to apply to be a part of that parade. The carnival piece is one of the more expensive pieces to put together. Essentially, while it attracts a lot of people, while a lot of people come out and view it, the people who are on the sides of the road to spectate aren't spending any money. Okay. So when people look at Carnival and they see the streets lined with people and people out enjoying the atmosphere, the only money exchanging hands is the people in costume, is the people participating in the parade. So while you could have 10,000, 20,000, you could have as many people as you want on the sides of the road spectating, that doesn't affect the bottom line. But we still have to put up all the parade barriers. That comes at a cost. We still have to provide the infrastructure like security guards, bathroom access, cleaning the streets after, set up and break down stages and things like that, where the patron is essentially a spectator and getting all of that for free. So that's definitely one of the more challenging events. And I'm sure if you speak to community and cultural affairs and what they do logistically to set up Bermuda Day, they would agree that it's an undertaking to set it up, to get it happen, to make it go right. And like I said, everyone essentially just takes it all in for free. So I think that answers your question. But definitely a government organization, not just a subsidizing it. It was proposed, and if we were able to see that come to fruition, where they were able to actually run that side of the event, would be a great solution.
Going back to Shauna's comment, here's the challenge that about her, what's in her comment. The challenge is, the first thing most people would say, but government, they don't have any money, right? And so I would look at it. I don't think, again, just from the outside in, I don't think the government is the way to go, personally. I think what it's going to take is showing value and building relationships with those in the private sector that believe in the product. Honestly, folks, if there's one thing I've learned over the last few years, is move away from government and more towards the private sector. The private sector is where the opportunities are going to be. Think like football or cricket or NFL or basketball. They don't rely on sponsors. Their sponsors are in private sector. So I think one of the things I would love to shift, in Bermuda, is our thought that when things go south, that government finances and taxpayers should fund it. I actually like the model that you've explained. I think that's the way to do it. It should be, free of government, because I could tell you, government-controlled entities are not necessarily better off, and we don't have to look far for those examples. One question from Traveling Trotty for you is pretty straightforward. Does Carnival make money? Have you made $1 since Carnival's existed?
No. No, and I would look at Carnival just like any other business. Any startup company, they say you need 5 years of capital to survive. We have survived. We're at a point where we're even. We don't owe anybody, fortunately. But have we made money? No, we've definitely recovered from losses in previous years. But again, I wouldn't look at that different from any other company. Do companies make money in 5 years? If you're fortunate enough, you do, but a lot don't. So we're in that same boat.
Yeah, I would say, I am kind of disappointed that it doesn't seem like it's going to be what we had before, but I'm also excited at the possibilities of what could be, because the truth is, competition isn't bad. It actually could improve the overall product. So I want people to take a positive view, because at the end of the day, I think that there's drama attached with something like this, seeing the split. But I think there's a positive thing. There's bands, as you've stated, and I'm going to pick on Party People, for instance. I think they've done a fantastic job of keeping me interested in Carnival. They've done and I've never been, but they've done so much work to keep me interested and entertained. But we're also grateful that you and others took the opportunity to kind of bring this experience to Bermuda, and are still going to be offering something going forward that is going to reflect maybe not the exact same experience, but a similar experience. So, I guess my overall point is, while it may be tight, there's still opportunities for all of us to succeed, and whether that's together or apart, I see the opportunity is there. Renee Simmons says, that said, why can't they work together for a common goal? The more participants, the better the event. Hopefully they can work it out. Well, as I just said, I would rather see that work together as well, Renee, but sometimes it's in our best interest to go separate ways. And who knows, we may come back together at a later time and realize we should have stuck together. So, I don't know. I would rather see it. Sean Smith's asking, Jason, do you have merch for sale?
Not at the moment. We're restocking. We're getting ready for Carnival 2022. We'll definitely have hats available, t-shirts available. We're getting ready to launch our Juve product. So folks will be familiar with that. You'll be able to buy a package. There'll definitely be merchandise available through that Juve package as well. So not at the right this moment, but coming in short time for sure.
Okay.
One quick last one. Right now we have 100 people gathering. Has the carnival secured an exemption for a large group gathering?
No, from what I understand, we shouldn't need an exemption going in or past May 7th, I believe, or March 7th, sorry. I believe was the date put out.
Okay.
And then the premier actually tweeted himself saying that carnival can happen after March 7th. So after March 7th, when restrictions are lifted, I believe the only restriction in place is mask indoors. So yeah, as more information comes about, we'll definitely be able to solidify that position. But as far as I read things and as far as I understood things, and from the premier's tweet confirming, after March 7th, it's open season.
All righty. Well, looks like we are in for more choices. Hopefully, better quality. Congratulations to everybody involved doing their thing. And as we get closer to the event, our doors open. If you want to come by, stop by and share what's actually going to be taking place. Feel free to reach out to us if there's any updates that you want us to share. But thank you for your time. Thanks for trusting our platform. And we look forward to chatting with you in a few.
Thank you, gents. I appreciate it.
All right, Jay.
Appreciate
no problem. Cool. Jason Sukdeo of Bermuda Carnival, folks. If you appreciated the conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick break. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And, we haven't announced our $500 giveaway for this month, so you may want to just subscribe and make sure you get the email. We're going to take a quick break, come back, trip up Larry with some music trivia, and wrap up today's show. Stick with us.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to One Communications, Metaquels, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. And thanks again to Jason Sukdeo for stopping by from Bermuda Carnival. Again, folks, I say it all the time. Make sure you share these conversations around the water cooler. Have those family discussions as well. And make sure you just share them in your chat groups, because, it's easy to jump onto the drama and talk about what you think's going on. But when the people come and engage with you themselves, you can actually take their word for it. So appreciate Jason, and give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Larry, it's a very easy question. It's music related today. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Help him out, folks. I mean, he ain't Sherry, but I'm just saying. Sherry, you heard the way he's talking about you. Here we go. What is the name of Bob Marley's oldest son?
Ziggy?
What was that?
Ziggy? I don't know.
Well, kind of right. What's his real name?
I can't remember. Ziggy Marley.
Ziggy Marley's real name, folks. We gave Larry half.
Not Komeni. Steven?
Nope.
All right, I can't. I know
All right, we'll give
David
it to him.
Komeni.
It's David Ziggy Marley.
Okay, I just knew Ziggy. I got it right. Come on,
oh, you got it right. I mean, Sherry, he is showing you up. He's gotten him like one time. Like the guy, I mean, Michael Jordan the other day, this today, has gotten him one time. Sherry, basically, what he's saying is You ain't
Pick up
sharp.
your game. I'll say it for myself. Pick up your game.
Yeah, pick up your game. He said you ain't sharp. Anyway, let's wrap up today. What you got for us? What's your final thoughts today's show, bro?
With the pandemic in the state and all, with the war, we just need to, plan a bit better, and everyone knows that in personal situations, and we go from there. With the carnival, I'm hopeful that it's a great Bermuda experience where everyone, including international guests, are able to enjoy. And truthfully, I'm hopeful. I really hope that last minute the bands and BHW are able to come together and work something out. But I get it.
Yeah, indeed. I'll say this much. As far as the discussion earlier, folks, just when we should always be preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. So as far as the war is concerned, just prepare for the best. Prepare for the worst. Sorry, prepare for the worst. With regard to the carnival, I really just want people to have fun. I really just want to see Bermuda and its product benefit from this experience. Driving a new generation of tourists to Bermuda is essential to the Bermuda's product longevity in tourism. So I'm supporting anybody and everybody who is doing something to bring people to Bermuda and put us at the top of mind to those outside the island. I just want to say thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. He's Larry Marshall Jr. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, please do make it a great and safe day. He don't have his mug yet. So
not yet.
Peace out.